Good afternoon, I guess, for me and Dan. Welcome back to another episode of Pomelo Pitch Deck here on the GenerEOS channel. I'm your host, Jimmy D, where we like to dive into the projects who are taking advantage of the quadratic funding mechanism over on EOS, that is Pomelo. Really one of the first kind of community funding proposals that ever came through on the old EOS.io ecosystem, now known as Antelope IO. There's been a lot of updates, a lot of turmoil since the beginning of EOS. But I think that's interesting to see how versatile a community can be. One of those communities that has kind of been in it since the beginning, doing some really interesting things, happens to be Eden on EOS. We're here today with Dan Singjoy, and he's going to be talking to us about the Eden Creators grant proposal. Before we kick off, thanks for coming and joining us on the show, Dan. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jimmy. Thank you for the introduction. I really appreciate you inviting me to the show. I've been a long-time listener of your show with Pomelo Pitch Deck and also the work that you're doing with the Uplifters, and I've listened to many of your shows and watched many of your shows. So thanks so much for all the great work and the introduction, and I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. I never know if people are listening or not. I just like to talk. But yeah, so for people, I think almost everyone, in the EOS.io ecosystem has to know what Eden is. But maybe they don't know what Eden Creators is. So could you maybe just give us a little bit of a rundown on Eden Creators and how it connects to Eden on EOS?
Yeah, absolutely. So Eden Creators, well, there's a lot to say. I've been working on Eden Creators for the past year and a half or so since Eden started. I've been stoked about Eden since Eden started. And Eden Creators is basically a media outlet where I'm sharing all sorts of content and hosting events and making videos. That's both to be entertaining and enjoyable and documenting all the collaborations between people in the ecosystem, and also to be providing educational resources to help everybody understand how these fractal cooperative processes that we have with Eden and these elections and fractal governance and so forth are really helpful for everybody. So there's a lot more I can say, and I'm happy to answer questions or go into more detail on this. I'd also be happy to share my screen or go into more detail with the like on the website. There's an edencreators.com where I collect a lot of this, and there's a YouTube channel and so forth. But I suppose that provides a good introduction for now.
Sure. Yeah. And so this isn't your first foray into, Pomelo grants, but it might be, I think you mentioned earlier that this is the first one for this particular grant, right?
Yeah, well, so I've had the Eden Creators grant on Pomelo since season 2 and season 3. Although in the past 2 seasons, I got them in on just like the past on last day or two, so I didn't really have much time to promote it or get the word out and speak about it. So I got it in a bit earlier this season, and so it's the first time that I've had more time to promote it. And then I also do have a second grant that is a new grant called Creator Talk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we might dive into that today. We might dive into it another day. I'm just going to throw your grant here up on the screen so people can see what it is. So you create awesome videos every week about EOS, Eden, and fractal cooperation. Over the past year, you've established hundreds of hours of inspiring, entertaining, and educational videos with many of the best builders in Web3. You can enjoy countless collaborative insights on the playlist, Eden Fractal, Eden Town Halls, Genesis Fractal, Eden Creators Originals. What value does this particular, because there's a few different things that you guys do. So what value does this particular, content bring? I feel like everyone knows the answer to this question. I just want your perspective. What the creation of this content bring the overall EOS ecosystem, and how does it help engage? I don't know. I think personally, one of our biggest problems in EOS is engaging with people beyond our ecosystem, right? So how does this help engage people within the EOS ecosystem already, and also people who might not know that much about EOS? And might be beyond what we're doing here in this little area of blockchain.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So yeah, I tried to break down the Pomelo pitch into like 3 kind of main aspects or main categories how Eden creators are creating public goods. So I had creating exciting content, hosting fun events, and helping communities cooperate with innovative factor consensus games. And they all kind of go into the same thing to both engage and help current EOS community members and also engage and help and spread the word about EOS and about Eden and all these cool things that are going on in the community to broader audiences and people all around the world. And I agree, it's great to do both of those things. So for one thing, we're making the videos, and the videos are like great content. There's many of the best builders who are in EOS and Web3 who are joining a lot of the events. So I should perhaps say that I have there on the screen. There's several different playlists on the YouTube channel. There's the Eden Fractal playlist, the Eden Town Hall playlist, Genesis Fractal. I have some originals and a bunch more playlists. So, for example, the Eden Fractal, I host the Eden Fractal events on Wednesdays at 16 UTC. We've been doing this for the past 6 months or so, every week. And there's probably about 15 builders, great builders who come every week. We've had over 50 people join. So it's like a very, very engaging time where we're basically on camera for 2 hours or sometimes longer. And we're doing like the fractal consensus game, kind of where we're respecting each other's contributions and learning about each other's work. So it's been super engaging for many community members already. And a lot of great collaborations have come from that, like people who are working together now who previously weren't working together, and new friendships and so forth. And then at the same time, we're also making videos. So we're recording this, we're recording the experiences together. I'm starting to also cut clips from there too, to make shorter clips that are more engaging for larger audiences who don't have time to watch a 2-hour video, but it's documenting the history of EOS and all the great collaborators and the collaborations as they happen. And then as we're doing that and building together on EOS and with Antelope collaborators, then we're also making content that can be edited and produced in the future to make like amazing short clips and documentaries and songs, or all kinds of media that help spread the word about EOS to the larger world. And then in addition to videos, there's also lots of articles I write on edencreators.com as well. So it's both videos and then all sorts of multimedia content. And I also put a lot of work into making cool looking art and so forth to try to make it really accessible for everybody who doesn't necessarily know what EOS is, but wants to learn about it in an enjoyable and fun way. That's very insightful and helpful.
I mean, honestly, like if I was ever to do a grant and put all my time into it, I'd try to figure out a way to speed up video content on the blockchain so that we could have like a chipmunk sort of thing and get that 2 hours of content into 15 minutes. I mean, not everyone can speak as fast as me. Just kidding. I mean, it's definitely important aspect of that to put that out there. Now, like you said, a lot of people, they don't always have time to watch 2 hours, or they can't make the time to watch 2 hours. I mean, I guess it depends on where you are. If you're driving to work, you can throw things like this on in the background, but I mean, sometimes it's just not possible. But you guys are doing some other things as well. I mean, one of the other things that you're doing is you're hosting events for the community each week. Now, a lot of what you guys are doing revolves around Eden and Eden members. I mean, is this explicitly Eden membership type of thing, or does this hold value for people that might not even be interested in Eden? Like how does that dynamic play towards one another?
Yeah, so the events are open for anybody, so and everybody. So I encourage everybody to join the Eden Fractal events. I mean, as long as you speak English, that would be a helpful thing because everybody else there speaks English. But basically, other than that, and the events are open for everybody. So I encourage everybody to join on Wednesday at 16 UTC or 15:30 UTC. Actually, we started a half hour early, and then we go into the breakout rooms every Wednesday at 15:30 UTC, and also the town halls. I host those every Sunday at 16 UTC. I actually also just launched another show that I'll be doing at, I think, 15:30 UTC called Fractal Apple. It's a live stream show with like news about Eden and EOS and some music and sorts of fun things. But yeah, so it's accessible and welcoming for everybody who's in the EOS community or outside of the EOS community. It doesn't have to be Eden members. Like I kind of think of the Eden community. I mean, there's the Eden Genesis community where people have to get the inductions and there's like a formal process. But to participate in the Eden Fractal events, it's just anybody can join. And I kind of think that like everybody's kind of a big community members, even if they don't go through an induction. And yeah, I want to make it very welcoming and helpful for everybody to enjoy these events. So whether you're available at those times, then it's great when people can join. And I'd welcome that, and many other people in the community who participate in these events welcome it. And then also we have the videos too. So if people can't make them, or we have the articles, then people can get value by reading and watching and so forth as well.
Right. And I think, like, I said this on an earlier episode today. I think one of the takeaways, like all the successes and all the trials and hardships that the EOS went through, I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the strongest communities out there. When you when you beat a group of people down and they refuse to die, usually they come back with a vengeance. I mean, now we've got Pomelo grants and funding for people like you who are trying to spread awareness. I think it was actually season 2. We were chatting about this earlier. Season 2, we saw a big influx of kind of community-based projects or education-based projects trying to go out there and teach the world about kind of things that are happening within the EOSI ecosystem. I mean, shortly after that, Pomelo grants were launched, and sorry, not Pomelo, the ENF kind of came in and they started funding things. I mean, Eden on EOS has been funding things. There's Helios. There's things across the board. What is it to you? What is it for you that makes the EOS community so worth expanding and growing and putting time and energy into?
Yeah, so there's a lot, and I don't know if I'd thought about that recently, but I mean, I've been working with EOS for a long time. I've been following EOS closely since early 2018, and so I mean, for one thing, I know a lot of people here well, and I know there's so many amazing builders and creators in here who are doing awesome work. So it's just really exciting and inspiring to be around all the people. I mean, including yourself, Jimmy, and then including so many other people who are doing awesome work in the community. So yeah, seeing what everybody else does is really inspiring. There's also a lot of great technical aspects of EOS. Obviously, it's able to do an incredibly amount of helpful things that the world needs and are also helpful for making great content and great videos and inspiring stories. So, I mean, the things that we're doing with Eden Creators, it wouldn't be possible without EOS. And also, EOS is the only place that I know of that's working with this kind of, or it's one of the only places I know of, EOS and Antelope chains and Fractally to some extent, that are working with these fractal cooperation kinds of consensus games, which really excites me. These games where people are coming together and making videos together and doing Eden elections and giving each other respect. So it's where it's all happening there in EOS. And yeah, so I've been a huge fan of EOS and making art to show how EOS empowers communities, and it helps enable things like what I'm doing with Eden Creators, and helps enable also, like we were saying before, I think you said like the chipmunk spinning in the wheel or something like that. Like I can definitely see, I have a vision for how EOS can empower communities to make amazing video content and amazing writing and so forth using the technological abilities of EOS. So combination of community, technology, all these different things I just explained there that makes EOS very unique and very exciting.
So we're a busy crew, and I mean, one of the downfalls I've always said, the problem with EOS is you have so many brilliant people, but one of the things that we seem to have struggled with since the beginning, as a group of builders, is actually promoting what we're doing. Right? Like we've got people who are creating amazing wallets, we've got people who are creating SDKs, but I mean, until recently, there was really no face of the community, right? And now we've got 2 or 3 different faces. In general, I mean, they're not competitive with one another; they enable, empower one another. But like you said, people get busy, and this is your 3rd grant now. But you threw the last 2 in there a little bit slow. You said the last time because you were busy building and not really paying attention to the timelines and things like that. But I'm kind of curious. You must have got at least a few funds from those original couple of grant applications. What did you use that funding for, and how did it help create a better tomorrow for the Eden Creators project?
Yes, thank you for asking. So yeah, so in the previous seasons, I raised something like a total of $500 or $400, something like that, which I'm very appreciative, and it was super helpful. So the second season I haven't claimed yet, and that's still being, and I'm still waiting for the right opportunity to deploy that. I might actually use that for the Fractal Apple. So I mentioned that I'm doing a new show called the Fractal Apple, and I'm actually giving away 500 EOS this week before the end of the Pomelo season to public goods creators on EOS as a way to both promote Pomelo to mainstream audience and then promote a lot of great public goods. I'm going to live stream it and then talk a little bit about the projects and why I'm donating them to people and so forth. So I did the first live stream a couple of days ago or yesterday, and I'm planning to do the next one either today or tomorrow to help promote it. I don't know if it's with the Pomelo rules to use that funding, so I might use the Eden funding. I'm not exactly sure how Pomelo rules work. In the first season, what I did with the Pomelo funding, which apparently is against the rules now that I know it, but they didn't mind at the time. I used that funding to start funding for the Eden Fractal events. So we started the Eden Fractal events, I said 6 months ago, back in June. And I donated, I guess it was 500 EOS to start to the Eden Fractal, basically. So Eden Fractal has a system where we give away 100 EOS a week in addition to Eden Respect. and that EOS gets distributed according to the levels that people get in the Fractal Consensus game that we play. So I used a portion of, or I used all of the Pomelo funding from the first season to kickstart the Eden Fractal in a way to donate the 500 EOS to say, hey, we're giving out 100 EOS a week. And that provided some incentive for people to join. And it wasn't a huge financial incentive, but it was enough that combined with everything else we were doing, it got a really great start. And now it's rolling, and amazing, really exciting things are happening with Eden Fractal. So, and then Daniel Keyes later told me in second season that that wasn't allowed. So that's why it took me a while to get it approved. But that was what I did for the first season.
You're gonna get me in trouble here because I just like to shoot from the hip. Now, what I want to say is like possibly one of the worst communities of all time for like actually employing an ideology of profit in blockchain has been EOS, because the majority of developers and amazing people at EOS, they're just here to give away stuff and like, progress the industry and progress the ideology, right? Which I think is pretty funny. But like we've seen and gone through a lot of change, and I mean, it's been very difficult. We're only in year one of Pomelo, right? And we're only in season 4. Like there's quarterly seasons of Pomelo. So it's interesting to see that, right? And like the rules are going to change. They're always going to change. And it's interesting to see how people are applying those funds, new and creative ways often that people are coming up in order to use the funding or in order to promote their grant. So on the back of what you were just saying about, last couple seasons funding, what are you going to continue to do? And what are you going to do that's different or new this time with the new funding opportunities that you're getting through season 4 of Pomelo Pitch Deck, or sorry, Pomelo Grants?
Yes. So, well, this season I'll certainly be playing by the rules that I'm now aware of that Daniel Keyes told me about. So the funding is not going directly to participants in Fractal events, although we have funding from other places, like Patrick from Nova Crypto has been very generous to donate there. So the funding from this season, part of it will be used to compensate my time and also expenses. Like I'm putting an enormous amount of time into this, mostly without pay, and I'm only able to do that for so much time without having some pay. So some of it will be to pay for that. Some of it will be to pay for expenses. I'm also, operating multiple websites and Zoom accounts and all kinds of different things like that to pay for as well to make these things work. And then part of it also, well, I suppose 2 different things. So basically, but you can be kind of categorized into one, because you're basically hiring people to help with things. So for one thing, I work closely with a few developers in EOS who there's some tools that we're discussing about building that would be really helpful for people to play more Fractal Consensus games like we do at the Eden Fractal. So I could potentially use some of those to fund open source code developments. I don't know if I had that in my Pomelo pitch or not, but one thing I do have in my Pomelo pitch is that and this is really the main thing that I'm most excited about, or one of the things. I mean, they're all very exciting, but one of the things I'm really excited about, and I know that I wrote, is about hiring help to help edit videos and create content and curate content. So right now I'm doing a lot on my own. It's kind of like a one-man team. I'm working with a lot of people in the Eden community, Eden Fractal, and we're all collaborating in many different ways. But I'm basically operating the Eden Creators YouTube channel and EdenCreators.com all on my own. And I have a really exciting vision for something called DAMS that I'm calling it DAMS, which is short for Decentralized Autonomous Media Studios, which is basically using these like Fractal Consensus processes where we're coming together with the Eden community every week and making videos together. And we were talking about making short videos. So I've been starting to produce some short clips and also make nice thumbnails and make timestamps, and then making articles around that too, to explain it both in text and making art. So I want to hire, I mean, it depends how much funding I receive and when I'll be able to do this, but I want to hire some help, start with maybe a part-time video editor to be able to help cut clips and share clips and make amazing clips for the benefit of the community that helps spread the word about EOS, and also provide enjoyment and provide insights for people around the world to enjoy these processes and games.
So on the back of my previous kind of dismantling comment about issues with EOS and problems, one of the, I think, highlights of what we've seen now that funding has started to come back to this ecosystem with EOS, like really we're like a bunch of ants. I mean, like we all kind of march to our own drum, but we're all kind of like marching along the same path, right? And like you said, right, you're one man, but you're kind of headed in the same direction as a lot of other people. So I'd like projects that are kind of empowering other projects, especially on a media front, because that was one of the things that we were kind of lacking, right? So yeah, I'm definitely excited. This is going to be a little bit of a short one, to be honest, because I actually have to jump off for another meeting. However, you do have a secondary proposal up for another project. Maybe you could tell us what that is, and I'm hoping to be able to dive into that as well over the course of the next couple of days.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you once again for the opportunity. And yeah, I'd be happy to dive deeper into the second grant in the next couple of days so we can talk about that. The second grant that I just got approved on the last day in the last couple of hours, so going with the theme here, is called Creator Talk. It's a new show that I just launched. It's a podcast. It's about creators talking about creativity and collaboration and much more. So I'm going to be doing this podcast with lots of great creators in the EOS community and outside of the EOS community. People can check it out at creatortalk.show is a website, and also on my Twitter profile. I just linked and pinned that to the top. I did an interview a couple of months ago with a great developer in EOS named Tadas Vedikunas, and he created the process called Eden plus ƒractal that we play at the Eden Fractal meetings every week, where basically we combine the fractally process. He designed it, but combines the fractally process where people rank contributions 1 through 6 and people get respect, with the Eden process where people elect delegates, and combines that into one. So we do both at the same time during meetings, and the delegates form a council to help make community decisions. So it's a really cool new way for people to cooperate. And so we got into the details about that and talked about why this is helpful. And then I also worked a lot on just making the presentation really nice. And there's a little cosmic surfer dude, and there's cool art, and I'm aiming to make it very accessible for like a mainstream audience, both for the EOS community to provide really valuable insights about cool projects in the space, such as Eden plus ƒractal, and then also make it helpful for people in the wider world who want to learn and also enjoy with like cool art and fun music and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm happy to get into more details about that soon, and that's at creatortalk.show.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and we'll definitely dive into that in the next day or two. I mean, I'm also excited to hear about all the things that you're doing. Hopefully, when the new year kicks off, when this grant is done, we can get back on the show and have a little bit of an update and maybe walk through the process on how you contact and get in touch with people and curate content to help you out. Because I think the more content that we put out as a community, the better we're all going to be. I mean, there's tons of people with tons of different perspectives and ways at looking at it. There's no one right answer. And like I say, we're kind of like ants. We all beat to our own drum, but we're all kind of headed in the same direction. We believe in the power and the process. And I think there's a lot of really exciting things coming out. And definitely more than one person in general can cover, potentially even more than a whole community of diehard fans can cover. But yeah, definitely go check out the Eden Creators Grant. It's on the screen. It's in the link below. Quadratic funding, 1 or 2 EOS goes a long way for the matching potential. Yeah, we'll have you back on in a day or two to dive into this other proposal, so that people don't get lost and confused, and we can really segregate and separate what the difference between the two is and where the focus is. So thanks a lot, Dan.
Thank you so much. Jimmy, it's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to speaking with you more, and I don't want to hold you up, but I really appreciate it so much. So thank you very much.
And if you guys have any questions, feel free. Where can people contact or learn more about Eden Creators?
Yep. So EdenCreators.com is probably the easiest place. And from there, you can also find the Eden Creators YouTube channel by clicking on the videos button, or there's also the articles in the garden. It's also at Eden Creators at Eden Creators _ on Twitter, or I'm at dancingjoy or dancingjoy.com as well.
Okay, well, I mean, apparently, people love you because comments are starting to pop up about lovers in the sidebar here. So cool. Just ignore those.
Interesting. Okay.
There is no finding your lover on the EOS blockchain yet. I mean, it could be. It could be the killer app it could be the killer romance app that we're all looking for. Definitely, I'll be covering that if it happens, and I'm sure Dan will too. From your media tycoons and moguls, the things that we love about EOS, all of the projects. I think it's really important to keep people informed. So thank you for all that you're doing. We'll catch you guys later on the next Pomelo pitch deck, and yeah, take care of yourselves until that time again.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.